Go look at your garden right now. Not to water it, not to weed it, just to look. The bean rows that were full back in June are finished now. The cucumbers are slowing. A few rows that were full 2 months ago are sitting empty, and somewhere in the back of your head a thought has settled in that the season is just about done. You are already thinking about next spring. You have already started to check out. I want to tell you that thought is costing you 5 months of food. August looks like the end of the gardening year. It is not. For the people who know what to put in the ground right now, August is a second starting line. There are 9 crops you can push into the soil this week, some of them today, and by the time hard frost arrives, you will be pulling food out of your yard that is sweeter and better than anything you grew all summer. Not because fall crops are exotic or difficult, because cold does something to vegetables that summer heat never can. It turns starches into sugar. It concentrates flavor. It makes a carrot pulled in November taste like nothing that comes from a store. I'm going to show you all 9 of them, starting with the one you can harvest first, and working toward the one I would plant before any other if I only had room for one thing. Stay for that last one because it is not the one most people would guess. My name is Elias. I farm in Lancaster County, Pennsylvania, and I have been planting a second garden every August for as long as I can remember. Before we go any further, hit subscribe and turn on the bell. It is free and it takes 1 second. A lot of good people are already here. Start with the one that will be in your kitchen fastest. Hakurei Turnips, not the big purple and white root you remember from a holiday table, something entirely different. Hakurei is a Japanese salad turnip, small, smooth, white, and sweet enough to eat raw like a radish or an apple. No cooking required, mild, slightly sweet, just a touch of pepper. When a light frost touches it in October, the sweetness deepens even further. The reason Hakurei earns the first spot is speed. It matures in 35 to 55 days from seed. Push seeds into the ground this week, and you are pulling turnips before Halloween. No other root crop on this list can say that. 2 things to do. First, direct seed only. Do not start in a tray and transplant, because any disturbance to the taproot produces forked, misshapen roots. Push seeds ½ inch deep, 3 to 4 inches apart. The thinnings that come out as the plants grow are edible greens. Use them. Second, keep the water steady, roughly 1 inch a week. When a root crop goes dry and then gets a heavy drink, it cracks and turns woody and bitter on the inside. That sweetness you are growing it for disappears. Stay even with the moisture and the root rewards you. For zones 4 through 9, August is your window. In zones 8 and 9, you can plant successive rows into September and harvest through December. Before we go any further, tell me in the comments what state you garden in and which of these 9 you are planting this week. Write it down. I read every single one, and I will tell you what I would start with for your zone. Bok Choy and Tatsoi are 2 of the fastest growing, most forgiving greens you can put in August soil, and once you have grown them through a fall, you will not skip them again. Bok Choy has thick, crisp stems and broad, glossy leaves. Eat it stir-fried, braised, in soups, or raw. Tatsoi grows flat and rosette-shaped with a mild, slightly mustardy flavor. Both love cool weather and cannot perform in summer heat. A light frost sharpens their crispness and deepens their flavor. A bok choy grown in October is a better vegetable than one grown in June. That is just true. The technique that makes these shine through fall is succession planting, and Esther does it more reliably than anyone I know. Every 2 weeks from now through early September, she puts in a short row. By the time the first planting is ready to cut, the second is coming up, and the third is right behind it. No glut, no empty stretch. Just a steady stream of greens from October into December. Both crops mature in 45 to 60 days, which means an August planting is ready before the first hard frost in most zones. The roots are shallow, so in the heat of August they need consistent moisture at the surface. Do not let them dry out between waterings or the stems split and lose their crispness. Once the September evenings cool down, they take care of themselves. In zones 5 through 9, direct seed. In zones 4 and colder, a simple floating row cover over the bed buys you 3 to 4 extra weeks of harvest into the cold. Let me say one thing, and then I will not bring it up again. I put everything I know about keeping a lawn, the soil, the weeds, the fixes that actually hold, into a book. 2 more are coming, one for the pests, one for your pets. All of it is over at eliashomestead.shop. If you want it, it is there. That is all. One thing about lettuce in August that nobody at the garden center explains, and it will save you a lot of frustration. Lettuce seeds stop sprouting when the soil gets above about 77 degrees. The seed senses the heat and goes dormant. It is not dead. It is waiting. And in August, most garden soil is well above that temperature in the afternoon. So you sow a row, nothing comes up, and you wonder what you did wrong. You did nothing wrong, the conditions were wrong. 3 ways around this. First, sow in the early morning or late evening when the soil surface has cooled from the afternoon heat. Second, after seeding, lay a piece of shade cloth or a loose layer of straw over the bed and water it once or twice a day to keep the surface cool and moist. Remove the cover the moment you see the first seedling threads coming up, or they will stretch toward light and weaken. The most reliable method is to start lettuce seeds indoors, where you control the temperature. Grow them to the 4 or 6 leaf stage, then transplant them outdoors in late August or early September when the evenings have started to cool. This skips the germination problem entirely. If you want the small cell trays I use for starting lettuce, I have them linked in the description. Fall lettuce is better than spring lettuce. That is not an opinion. Spring lettuce grows under a deadline because summer heat is coming, and when the heat arrives, the plant panics and floods the leaves with bitterness. Fall lettuce has no such deadline. It just grows steadily, and the leaves stay tender and sweet for weeks longer than anything you grow in May. Cold-hardy varieties worth looking for include Winter Density, Black-Seeded Simpson, and Rouge de Hiver, a French variety bred for winter production. Spinach in August faces the same germination problem as lettuce, but there is a specific technique that solves it, and once you know it, you will use it every year. The night before you plant, put your spinach seeds in a small bowl of room-temperature water. Let them soak for 24 hours. This wakes the seed up without letting it actually sprout. After 24 hours, drain them and spread them on a paper towel. Let them dry in the shade for a day until the surface moisture is gone, but the seeds are still plump inside. Then put them in a small sealed bag and place them in the refrigerator for up to a week. That cold treatment breaks the heat dormancy. Take them out and plant them immediately. That is the whole technique. Soak, dry, chill, plant. Your seeds will come up much more reliably in August soil than unprimed seeds ever do. Here is why spinach earns its place high on this list. Spinach can survive air temperatures down to 15 degrees Fahrenheit without any protection at all. 15 degrees. With a simple cold frame or row cover over the bed, it handles colder than that and keeps producing into late winter. An August planting combined with a hoop house or cold frame can give you fresh greens from October through March. 6 months of harvest from one afternoon of work in August. If you want the row cover I use for spinach beds, I have it linked in the description. Cold does something to spinach that summer never can. When frost touches the leaves, the plant pulls sugars into its cells as a kind of natural antifreeze. The result for you is sweeter, more tender, more flavorful spinach than anything grown in warm weather. Let it go through frost. The flavor tells you it was right to wait. For varieties, Space is a reliable Savoy type with excellent cold hardiness. Bloomsdale Longstanding is a classic heirloom with strong frost tolerance and deep, rich flavor. One planting of beets gives you 2 harvests. You get the roots, dense and sweet, excellent roasted or eaten raw. And you get the greens, the beet tops, which are excellent wilted in a pan or chopped into fall salads. Most gardeners only think about the root and treat the greens as a bonus. The greens are genuinely as good as the root. Timing matters more with beets than most people realize. To get roots, not just greens, you need to plant 8 to 9 weeks before your expected first frost. Beet roots need enough days and enough sun to build themselves properly. Plant too late and the plant puts everything into leaves and nothing into the root. The greens are still worth eating, but if you wanted roots, you missed the window. For most of zones 4 through 7, that means getting beet seeds in the ground in the first 2 weeks of August without exception. Beets must be direct seeded. What looks like one seed is actually a cluster that can sprout 2 or 3 seedlings. Thin them to 3 to 4 inches apart as they come up. Crowded beets produce small, misshapen roots. Thin them, and the ones that remain will give you what you are after. Detroit Dark Red is the standard for reliability and deep flavor. Chioggia is an Italian heirloom with striking red and white rings on the interior. Milder and sweeter than red varieties. Excellent eaten raw. Touchstone Gold is a yellow beet with almost none of the earthiness that some people find off-putting, and it is exceptional roasted whole. Swiss Chard does something no other crop on this list does. It gives you fall harvest this year and spring harvest next year from the same planting. Chard is a 2-year plant, and that one fact changes everything about why it belongs this high on the list. In its first year, it grows leaves through summer heat and through autumn frosts. Unlike spinach and lettuce, it handles August soil without any germination trouble. You put it in the ground, it comes up, and it does not look back. That fall harvest alone makes it worth growing. Here is the part that earns it a place this high on the list. If you protect those plants through the winter with a cold frame, a row cover, or even just a thick layer of straw mulch over the crowns in zones 6 and above, the roots survive underground. The plant is not dead. It is dormant, and in March or April, those same roots push out brand new growth, leaves the size of dinner plates at a time when your garden would otherwise be completely empty. No other spring planting can be ready that early. Your chard planted in August, wintered over, and harvested again the following March gives you nearly a full year of value from a single planting. Rainbow chard, sometimes sold as bright lights, is colorful and productive. Ford Hook Giant is the standard for serious cold hardiness and sheer leaf size. Either works. Plant from seed or from transplants. Unlike spinach, chard germinates reliably in warm August soil. Broccoli, cabbage, Brussels sprouts. These are the backbone of a fall and winter garden, and they all share one non-negotiable requirement. In August, you plant them from transplants, not from seeds sown directly in the ground. Here is why that matters. A seed sown directly into August soil means putting the most fragile version of the plant, a seedling with barely any root system, through weeks of high soil temperatures and intense sun. That stress stunts the plant and leaves it without enough time to mature before hard winter arrives. A 4 to 6 week old transplant with an established root system goes into the ground ready to grow rather than simply trying to stay alive. If you started seeds indoors in early July, those transplants are ready now. If you did not, go to your local garden center this week. August is when quality brassica transplants are on the shelves and they move fast. Do not wait until September. For broccoli, the variety Bellstar produces a large firm central head and then continues putting out side shoots for several weeks after the main harvest. One planting, multiple harvests. For cabbage, Savoy types like Alcosa handle hard freezes and actually improve in flavor as the weather gets colder. For Brussels sprouts, the timing is the most important thing. They take 75 to 90 days to mature. Mid-August is not optional for Brussels sprouts. It is the deadline. Miss it, and you will not get a fall harvest. If you are in zones 4 or 5 where frost comes in early October, skip Brussels sprouts this year and put that space into broccoli or cabbage instead. Both of those will finish in time. In zones 8 and 9, planting can extend into early September. In zones 3 through 5, get everything in the ground now. My grandfather never pulled carrots before the first frost, not once. When I was young, I asked him why he waited when the roots were already full size and ready to eat. He said they were not ready. They just looked ready. He never explained what he meant, and I did not push it. It was not until I was farming this ground myself that I understood what he knew. When soil temperatures drop into the 30s and 40s in late fall, carrots go through a conversion. The plant pulls sugars into its root cells as a kind of natural protection against freezing. The result is a root that is extraordinarily sweet, almost candy-like, in a way that a summer-harvested carrot never achieves. A carrot pulled from cold November ground is a fundamentally different and better vegetable than one pulled in August. He was right. They were not ready. For planting in August, two things to know. First, carrots must be direct seeded. Any disturbance to the taproot at the seedling stage means forked, distorted roots at harvest. Second, carrot seeds sprout slowly, 14 to 21 days in ideal conditions, and in August heat, they face rapid evaporation of surface moisture. After you sow seeds a quarter-inch deep in well-worked soil, cover the bed with open-weave burlap or flat wooden boards laid directly on the surface. These hold moisture in and block direct sun from baking the seed zone. Check once a day, and the moment you see the first pale green seedlings coming up, pull the covers off immediately. Seedlings reaching for light will weaken within hours. If you want open-weave burlap cloth for this, I have what I use linked in the description. Napoli and Bolero are reliable fall varieties. Dragon is a purple-skinned heirloom with deep sweetness that holds through hard frost. Cosmic Purple is a purple-skinned heirloom with deep orange flesh inside, mild and naturally sweet, excellent eaten raw after the first frost touches the ground. With 4 to 6 inches of straw mulch over the bed, you can leave carrots in the ground right through winter and pull them as you need them. The cold only makes them better. A row cover over the bed gives you even more insurance in the hardest weather. If I only had room for one thing, this would be it. Kale does not have a good reputation with a lot of people. They tried it once, it was tough and bitter, and they moved on. I understand that. What I want to tell them is that the kale they tried and the kale that comes off a frost-hit plant in November or December are not the same vegetable. They share a name. They are not the same food. After the first hard frost, 28 or 29 degrees, the transformation begins. The bitterness retreats. The texture softens. The flavor deepens into something that is simultaneously sweet, nutty, and faintly savory. People who have spent their whole lives thinking they do not like kale taste a frost-hit leaf from a November garden and change their minds. That happens every fall on this ridge. What makes kale the last crop on this list is the combination of that flavor transformation with cold hardiness that nothing else here can match. Properly established kale survives temperatures down to 10 or 15 degrees with no protection at all. With a simple row cover, it handles Zone 4 winters and comes back producing in early spring. That is not luck. That is what this plant was bred to do. You can direct seed kale half an inch into the soil or transplant 4 to 6 week-old seedlings. Kale does not have the sprouting trouble that lettuce and spinach have in August heat. It does not require the timing precision of beets. It does not demand the constant moisture of bok choy. It is the most forgiving crop on this entire list. Winterbor is your primary choice for winter harvest. Dense, heavily ruffled, dark green, and it only improves as the cold deepens. Red Russian has a flatter, more tender leaf, excellent raw in fall salads. Lacinato, also called Tuscan kale, develops the deepest flavor of any kale after frost. For row cover to take your kale through the hardest part of winter, I have what I use linked in the description. It is the same one I put over the beds on this farm. Tell me in the comments what state you garden in and which of these 9 you are putting in the ground this week or this weekend. Write it down. I read every single one, and I will tell you exactly what I would do first for your zone. 9 crops, all of them worth your time in August, all of them going into ground that looks like it is winding down but has months of life left in it. The garden center pulls the seed display in August because retail season follows a calendar that has nothing to do with how plants actually grow. That is not their fault. It is just not your problem if you know what you are doing. The seeds you need are still available online and at many independent nurseries. The window is open right now. It will not be open in October. If this was useful, hit the like button and share it with one person whose garden is sitting half empty right now. They need to see this before August is gone. If you are not subscribed yet, do that now and turn on the bell. There is more of this kind of thing coming every week, and you will want it when it lands. Stay patient, stay practical. And remember, the people who built this country with their hands knew things we are only just starting to remember.